And a good morning to you. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Oh, wait a minute. That's not now, is it? Sorry.
We got 4 months.
You know, I got made fun of one time over Cinco de Mayo. And this was when I was in Charlotte. And they misunderstood my question.
Okay.
I know what Cinco de Mayo is.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And it was coming up.
It's fantastic.
And my question was that I asked, when is Cinco de Mayo? And they made fun of me, and I wasn't asking what date it was. I was asking which day coming up. It's on Wednesday. It's on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? I knew when Cinco de Mayo was, but they made a big deal out of it because I didn't know what Cinco de Mayo was. But I did. I was asking, it's kind of like, is it next week or this weekend, or is it,
Well, I mean, it'd be the same thing as asking, like, what day is St. Patrick's Day? What day is MLK Day on?
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's on a month. I mean, for example,
we celebrate on a Monday.
Well, a date for MLK is different because MLK is always the third Monday of the month of January.
Right, that's right.
Like President's Day is a floating day. But I know what you're saying. I mean, because we have certain dates and then we have certain days. Very valid question. I would not have made fun of you. I would have said, Laney, thank you for asking.
They enjoyed that. They thought that was absolutely hilarious.
I'm sure.
I have no problem with people taking advantage of my simpleness.
I had lunch yesterday with Bob Duckworth.
Fine American.
Oh, my God, he's a great American. And a plethora of
it's a big word. Of course, you dressed up. You can use plethora if you like.
Is that a big word?
That's a big word.
I guess it is.
Plethora.
Yeah, so we'll go with that. But yeah, we had a great time. Good visit, and it's nice to catch up. I mean, since the pandemic, we haven't been able to. There's been a lot of relationships that are now just starting to get back face to face, where we've had to do everything, over media, social media, or through whatever, other communication needs. So.
Let me give you some headlines. There is an update with a young man that was injured. Yep. He is breathing 50% on his own, only 50% on the vent. They rolled him over to his stomach yesterday because that would help some of the problems with the lung. Working with those. So it looks like there is, at least right now, some type of a positive outlook for him.
Is he awake?
No, he is still sedated.
Still sedated. Okay.
And most of the time they do that, that's for your own good.
Oh,
so you're not moving and doing all the type things. Let me give you this came out yesterday. 3 first-time eligible players and a player who has waited 25 years are on the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2023.
Oh, really? Who we got?
Tackle Joe Thomas, 10-time Pro Bowler selection, as well as 6-time first-team All-Pro cornerback Darrell Rivas.
Oh,
Rivas
yeah,
Island.
definitely.
Defensive end Dwight Freeney.
Game changer.
Are all finalists in their first year of eligibility. So those guys just came on for the first year.
Fantastic.
Cornerback Albert Lewis, who played his last game in 1998, has waited the customary 5-year period after going into retirement with 20 years of eligibility to be named finalist for the first time. So here's the others, the rest of the finalists. Jared Allen, defensive end. Willie Anderson, tackle. Rondé Barber, cornerback. Devin Hester, wide receiver returner. Torrey Holt. Didn't he go to state? Yeah.
Local product.
Yeah. Andre Johnson, wide receiver. Zach Thomas, linebacker. DeMarcus Ware, defensive end, outside linebacker. Reggie Wayne, wide receiver. Patrick Willis, linebacker. And Darren Woodson, safety. Of that group, only Woodson was not a finalist last year, and Holt has been a finalist 4 times. And I think, is it 5 times you can't come back on or something?
Who's the first one on that list right there?
Rondé Barber.
No, who's the first one?
On the list?
Right there.
Jared Allen.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the one that stands out. Now, Devin Hester, obviously, with his great kick returns and his dynamic play. But, when I look at that list, there's obviously a lot of great players. And I'm not downing, but the wow factor. And to your point, can you tell the story of the period that they played without using their name, right?
The one that stands out to me that you can't is Reggie Wayne. You can't tell the story of the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning without Reggie Wayne.
No, that's right.
I mean,
it is what it is.
And a lot of these guys are like that. I'm not convinced. I like Rondé Barber, not convinced that he is. I'm not familiar with Willie Anderson. I'll have to. That must be one of the older ones.
He was a big boy. I think he was like a guard or tackle.
But some other ones that come out that jump off the page to me, Darren Woodson, Patrick Willis, DeMarcus Ware, Zach Thomas, those guys just jump off the page to me. Yeah. The thing that amazes me in this list and the other ones, let's see, tackle Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, Dwight Freeney, there are no quarterbacks and no running backs on this list.
I mean, as time goes on and more people get put into the Hall of Fame, you know, you have all these great players, and it's like they set the bar, you know, in today's game.
Mm-hmm.
And as time goes on, things change a lot. You know, it's not so much of a – golly, I don't know how to say this. It seems like that for a lot of the last several years, and I say several, 4 or 5, that it's more about, well, I'm going to play 2 to 3 years and save my body instead of it being a career choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, the life of NFL is somewhere around 3 to 5 years on average, something like that. I don't know the exact number, but that sounds right. But to not look at it as doing your best to stay there to 10 to 12 year period, even though we know that's often not likely, kind of gives you a shorter time period to do the great things.
Well, the other side of it is when you look at it in different eras, numbers that got a guy at a specific position in 20 years won't get that guy in that position
like
in this
year.
Like
running back, right?
Right, or a receiver. Because look, 20 years ago, you didn't throw the ball.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You flipped that.
So
running backs. Yeah.
And so to your point, now they want a quarterback that can, oh, well, nothing's open. I'm going to run.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's
you better win some Super Bowls if you're going to go in.
Sentence.
Yeah. Now, here's some old-timers on the senior committee. They'll be voted on as a yes or no. Ken Riley, I'm not familiar with. Chuck Howley was a great Cowboy. And Joe Klecko played for the Jets. Joe Klecko, I remember him more from Cannonball Run, the movie. Okay, but Joe Klecko, people don't realize what he was. And Klecko, do you remember Mark Gastineau?
Oh, yeah.
That's that same era. Mark Gastineau and Joe Klecko back in the day for the Jets. And then for a coach contributor committee finalist, Don Coryell. Was he not a Colts guy at one time before Shula, maybe?
Right.
Does that sound right?
Golly,
those guys are yes or no votes. It says that Joe Thomas is the most decorated player of this year's finalists with 10 Pro Bowl rankings, 8th most for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But in Thomas's 11 seasons with the Browns, they did not make the playoffs and finished with the winning record only once.
Totally not on him. He could only control what he could do.
That's right.
Therefore, you don't vote on the – I mean, I know you know this. I'm saying you don't vote on the team for the Hall of Fame. You vote on the player and the performance of that player. It is a Hall of Fame worthy. And Joe Thomas, excuse me, the answer is yes. He's incredible. He, if they had a team of Joe Thomases – then they would have made the playoffs, and they would not have but one winning season. They would have multiple. So he absolutely deserves to be there. But there was a separate list to those ones you named that started with Jared Allen, right?
Yeah.
So
that
you had a top. I can't read.
Well, what it is, the ones that I gave you, Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, Dwight Freeney, they're first-time nominees.
I understand.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And the rest of them have been nominated before. Yeah, this is their first
Jared
year.
Allen didn't make it. I mean, he was such an impactful player that really nobody ever thought would do much. He has a very interesting
I can
story.
see him, but who did he play?
He played with the Vikings.
The
he
Vikings,
used to paint
that's
his
right.
face, and he was a nut.
Yes,
and he would do anything they asked him to do from the time he was in youth league until he got there, and all he was ever told was, well, you'll never, you're doing it now, but your chances of moving on. I mean, from youth league all the way to the NFL. It's a tremendous story of perseverance and, overcoming that stigma and that, golly, I don't even know a good word for it this early in the morning, but that I'll just call it what it is, that stupidity of of someone giving their opinion that's never been there and done that and doesn't know what it takes to get there. They just observe it and then they give you their opinion.
Richie, good morning.
Just
Glad to have you.
That's like me not ever having played soccer and looking at a kid that
trying to evaluate him.
I'm coaching a high school soccer team. Say, you just can't go. This is the highest you can play in that.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You're sitting there making an evaluation on something you absolutely know nothing about.
Right. Richie, good morning. Milton, good morning. Mr. T. Clint, good morning. Richie said, I would have joked with you about for a minute or two. Richie, roll him over to get the blood and fluid off his lungs. That's what it was from the prolonged use of CPR.
Gotcha.
But, boy, what would it have been had they not been able to get to him as quick as they did to make things happen?
Yeah, tough time, man.
Yeah. And this is just around the corner. Let's see. What was the
What's
other
interesting, too, is a lot of people on social media are letting their feelings be known about, it's amazing how all the players came together and were praying on behalf on the field, but yet over the last several years, we've seen the NFL not, like Tim Tebow was chastised for, praying before the game, or they, there were comments or insinuations, about, well, it's not appropriate to do that and you shouldn't do that. But yet, in a moment like this, I think we understand that, it's, our humanity and coming together is what's most important. And it's not our differences that really separate us. It's our core beliefs and values that unite us. And at some point, that's why the NFL has to pay attention to what's being said. Because when you're hiding behind either your name or a fake name on social media, people maybe they go after you, but not like they would like on a very large-scale platform, like when you're doing individual interviews or things like that, right on national TV. So it gives people a chance to voice things and how they feel about it. And, regardless of what people believe, coming together in a time like that is extremely important.
Sure it is.
And very helpful, to the person that is not doing well and also to those that are grieving because they care about the person not doing well.
And healthy for people to come together like that.
Social and emotional health is so important.
Yeah.
And the only way to, in my opinion, and again, it's just my opinion, but the only way to truly achieve that is to be centered, in your core beliefs and values, whatever they may be, and that you stand strong upon those principles. And, we're seeing that now with the players, they didn't care what anybody said about you can't pray or you can't do that. Not that anybody's ever told them they can or can't. I'm just giving an example. Nobody cared at that point. And with the outpour of love and compassion, the extending of, the hand that we've seen, this could be a rallying cry that the NFL may decide to start doing to some degree. I would heavily encourage them to do so to capture the younger audience that has these strong beliefs.
Agree.
It's just
Agree.
what it is, man.
The Washington Commanders are starting another quarterback this week. They're going to start Sam Howell to kind of evaluate. Well, they're out of the playoff run, so they just want to see what he's got.
I think it's a good idea.
Howell will be the 33rd quarterback that Washington has started since it won a Super Bowl in 1991. Okay.
That's 33
years. 33 quarterbacks.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, but it's such dysfunction. Richie can answer his question. How long has
let's look at Cleveland.
How long has Snyder owned them, Richie? Richie can tell me off the top of his head, I'm sure. How long has Snyder owned them? Maybe that's why they've started 33 quarterbacks.
I tell you what, man.
And we still Juju sent that tweet out yesterday, and we still do not know what's going to go on with games at this point.
Well, what's being said, I think that your analysis, may be the one that they decide to do, because I think in the end the NFL is going to say, look, no matter what, they're going to set a precedent. No matter what, we're going to play the games. They did that during the pandemic, right? Nobody's in the stadium, but what did they do? They played the game.
Well, it just
you know what I mean? I think they're trying to set that, and again, they may decide, hey, just no contest. We're not counting it either way. Let's move on.
Well, they have give a starting time for Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Yep.
And that's going to be 1 o'clock Sunday.
Okay.
And so it still doesn't answer where that game falls in, because they had talked about playing on Monday, but you can't play a game on Sunday and a game on Monday.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that,
But the tweet said that they would roll the AFC playoffs
that's
back week.
right. That's
but I don't
what I'm saying.
See how that's going to work.
Well,
I don't see how you
mean,
do one side, not the other.
Laney, I think to your point, I think you were onto something. Especially after Juju sent the tweet out that they're setting a precedent that we're going to play these games. Earthquake, terrorist strike, whatever the case may be.
Right.
We are going to continue, with our process, with our season in the process. And that's no disrespect to the young man that's
Correct.
hurt. I just think they say, look, we've acknowledged it. We've given people time to understand
process.
What's happened. Yeah, process the info. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And, get it going.
Reggie said he thought it was 98 that Snyder bought him.
It probably is.
And whenever it was way too long, long ago, and shouldn't have happened.
Well, I think
I'm just saying.
I think too that Daniel Snyder's goal is, and I don't know this, but just like a lot of owners, yes, he's made a tremendous amount of money through the works of what he's done, but also Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell has transformed the National Football League. Now, people may or may not like him, but no one can argue with the results that have been risen by everybody across the board based on what he has
increased the value of his shareholders. That's basically what he's done.
And he's a decent entertainer for a CEO.
Okay. Works for me. We'll take a break. Back in a minute.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Yeah,
Snow
welcome back.
next week.
Do what?
It's going to snow next week.
No, it's not. I've already looked. I'm waiting on that snow.
Still snow down.
Can you
the beach.
imagine? Can you imagine if we would have had upper 20s weather yesterday when that moisture came through?
Dude.
It would have been brutal.
Hey, it would have been Snow Mageddon. All kidding aside,
yeah.
I know we talk about this,
Yeah, but
it would have been Snow Mageddon.
Boys, I'm going to tell you what. There was
That
a
was
lot
impressive.
of rain came down
That
yesterday.
was impressive.
Yeah.
You know, Laney, I don't, and I'm sure you remember this. This was like back in 88 or 89. All right, somewhere around that. And the reason I remember that specific time, I was, junior, senior in high school. You know what I'm saying? Where I was living at the time, we were living in Valdez on, Flag Gap Mountain. I remember that it had snowed and iced. All right, and the ice was real thick. The snow was about an inch or two there, and then the ice came, and it was very, very thick. Then it rained for like 2 straight days, and it was like 33 degrees. So we were on that, it never got cold enough, but it was just crazy how much. My point this is how much, like you said, moisture, actually fell. And we had this pond that had been had to be drained because the dam was not built correctly. And where we lived on Flat Gap Mountain was the main headwaters for McGalliard Falls, and Valdez. Okay. And so what happened was all the debris and everything came off the mountain from the 3 major creeks that feed it, coming off of Middle Springs Mountain down into the basin of the pond. And the drain it obviously is down at the bottom. It didn't have a pipe and all. They just had a drain because it was already drained out, right? So it just had got clogged. All of a sudden, we had an 1.5 acre pond that was spilling over. And, of course, we're sitting there freaking out because any minute that dam could wash out, which happened in the early 70s. And Bob may remember this if he's listening or watching us today. In 1974, that there was a pond there. There was an 1.5 acre pond. And a tornado came through and wiped everything out. And it flooded that whole small little valley and killed like 3 or 4 people and displaced several houses because of the amount of water. So we called, EMS or emergency management. I mean, the fire, down that way. And Dad was communicating with everybody. And they had this guy from Roto-Rooter come up there. And he went on the other side of the dam. And the pipe was like 60 feet long,
Wow.
And he stuck this rod in there. And it was, the pipe's this big. And it's clogged on the other end, right? And he sticks this massive rod in there. It's got this huge power drill, and he's standing like 50 feet. But it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. He was sitting there just going. All of a sudden, that thing broke loose, and that stuff come out and hit him. Man,
I bet that
dude went for a ride.
Washed him down the
I
river.
thought he's dead.
Wow.
It was like something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidebar that. But you talking about that? It just there's significant amounts of this that happen more so in the winter than in the summer, and we don't realize.
And
it
where
sometimes.
we're at because of how critical, I guess is the word, the weather can go based on a couple degrees temperature because of the area we live in.
Right.
It's just it's amazing how it works.
Well, Lenny, I've lived, living in Valdez, there were times when I was, when I would go to Hickory, and it start, raining or lightly snowing to Hickory, and by the time we get back home to Valdez, there'd be a couple 3 inches on the ground, just based off a 3 or 4 mile.
Oh,
5 mile, you know what I'm saying? So to your point,
it doesn't take much.
It's about where you live sometimes.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's amazing how you get some of the winter weather outlook, and they will include the Burke Mountains and the Caldwell Mountains.
Right. When
and you're still inside the county, but that much difference inside of one county, not a state, but one county.
Cool stuff.
Richie said, if he's not mistaken, Snyder owned the New York Islanders, and he ran them in the ground too. Now I don't know that. Milton said T. Higgins is being blamed by some idiots for the freak accident that happened Monday night. Simply amazed at the stupidity of some people.
Yeah.
I had heard that T. Higgins hadn't left the room or hadn't left the hospital because he was that concerned about it.
Nobody feels worse than
absolutely.
They're out there competing and playing hard, and they go at it, and you have to have that mentality. But to Milton's point, it is what it is, and you accept the risk by standing out there. And when things happen, there's just because you accept the risk doesn't mean compassion goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, personally, I had a line drive back at a kid, when I was a player.
Mm-hmm.
We were 12, 13 years old, and it shattered his cheekbone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, about killed him.
Just happens.
I'm sitting there, my job is to compete and do it, but I don't want to kill him.
No, and you're not, you're not aiming.
No,
it just happens, just like this did.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's the amount of stress, and it's terrible.
Oh, I'm sure. Brandon said, "Don't know if you aren't the biggest soccer guy. Did you hear the latest news of the father of Rena trying to blackmail U.S. Soccer with the information he has on the coach? He wasn't happy with his son's role and threatened to go public with his past. Let me tell you something. Soccer is unbelievable how seriously they take that. I mean, it's not even close how they take it.
You talking about emotional roller coaster?
Yeah.
People getting trampled.
Oh, I know. No, it's.
Let's.
Richie said he had a river flowing down his steps going to the backyard. He looked out his front door and saw what was coming, like geysers coming out of the yards across the road. It was where the downspouts in the houses ran to the underground to the road, and they were blowing water into the air. Milt said he had 2 inches of rain yesterday. I can tell you there's a underground pipe that comes under Union Street in front of my house.
Yeah, right.
And it takes the water that's up on East Maiden and funnels it down.
Right.
They had to put a big, and it makes a corner to get into the ditch when it comes out of that pipe. The town had to put riprap because it was blowing my yard away. The water, this is like a 12, 18-inch pipe when that water comes down, it backs up in ponds on the other side of the road because it can't get through the pipe. I mean, and that pipe is, and it's like shooting a fire hose, and it was just eating out the dirt. And I got to get back with them again because it's even moved some of the riprap now. It's been a few years. But it was starting to cut a big hole in my yard because of the water.
Yeah.
It's
They'll
unbelievable.
get that fixed.
It was unbelievable how that was going on. Okay, we'll get out of water and we'll get out of rain. We'll move on. Go back to the NFL. We got a weather report here out of the way. It is 42 degrees this morning, and we're going to start getting into regular North Carolina winter weather. 50s and 30s and get away. Yesterday morning it was 61 degrees when I came out at 5 o'clock. I don't want 61 degrees in January. I don't want that.
Brutal.
Yeah. Don't want that. Let's see.
I want that in like June.
Yes, I do. I want it year round, but I don't want it. Yeah, I don't want that at all. Let's see what else is going on.
You know what's interesting is there's not a lot of talk about the national championship game like there normally is on TV.
Cowherd talked about that yesterday because the numbers will be down because TCU is not a huge brand. It's not a huge brand.
Well, to Juju's point, aren't they one of the top 24 in revenue-producing schools?
Going back,
I think, though, what that tells us is that, the perception of validity to the situation. Now, can TCU beat Georgia? Absolutely. They have an opportunity? Absolutely. I mean, anything can happen. The numbers may say one thing, but your chances are always half-baked when you do anything. it's 50% you win, 50% you lose. It's not, you throw the numbers out then, and anything can happen, right, on one given game. But I think from an engagement standpoint that it's hard for people that truly love football that you tell them this is what – I can't get off of this, and I'm sorry. But you tell them this is what we're going to do, and then you do something different. Okay?
Yeah, but the biggest part of it is they justify that because they don't have any real criteria on how they make the pick because there's too much involved with the eyeballs.
Right, and the problem is because of committee.
Right. Nope.
Let me tell you something. The coaches can decide this every year.
Mm-hmm.
They can decide it.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about equally weighted votes.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Because if you finish 108 on the scale, your vote doesn't need to count as much as the person that finishes 8th.
No. Well, hopefully expanding the playoffs and getting out of a lot of this bowl or playoff committee stuff where the committee's not in charge of that, hopefully that will get better. This is a story that Juju shared with me yesterday, and the only thing I could say was, wow, how do you trust this guy?
Okay.
Jimbo Fisher is bringing in former Arkansas and Louisville head coach Bobby Petrino.
God.
Okay? One of the most respected offensive minds in football.
Oh.
Now, here's the deal. Petrino most recently was the offensive coordinator under new head coach Barry Odom at UNLV. Less than a month, he was hired on December 15th. He had spent the last 3 years at Missouri State as head coach and took them to an FBS playoff appearance in 2 of the 3 seasons, and it was the first time they'd gone to the playoffs in 30 years. Okay? But here's a guy that took a job. Now he's already left that job.
Well,
he left Atlanta in the middle of the night, in the middle of the season.
Yeah, okay, so high-functioning people like this, all right, that have a lot going on, and Urban Meyer, could be thrown in this, as well, maybe having some issues, whatever. High-functioning people like this are not about loyalty to a certain thing, all right? They are to people, okay, and to a process. And it's just like Nick Saban leaving, Miami. He's not loyal to Miami. He's loyal to the people and the process of, what it is he's trying to do. It's ridiculous to say, well, I'm going to finish my term out even though I don't believe anything that's going on because I'm going to do it for this or do it for that. When you have highly functioning people, just like when you have, guys like Tepper and, people that own these teams, okay? And I'm not really concerned whether people agree or disagree with this. I'm just throwing this out, okay? Highly functioning people are not loyal to a thing. They're loyal to the process and adherence of making something better, whether it be money or whether it be what they're trying to instill and do. People like this, are not going to sit there and say, well, I've made a commitment to this and I'm going to stick through it. All right? They're going to like to that team or to the team you said he left.
UNLV.
Right. He's not going to do that when he's got a chance to go work with Jimbo and being the I guess the light of college football again. He's not going to do that. He is a highly functioning, got some ego there. He's going to step out in that realm. Now, Jimbo has his own issues. Okay?
And the reason Jimbo has gotten the jobs he's got because he was such a mastermind offensive guru, but now that's kind of fallen by the wayside.
Well, you know what he did? He fell for the bait last summer. When Saban started engaging about, my team does this. He wanted to fight with him and get all emotional and everything. And so he spent all his energy defending that instead of focusing on the process. And so Saban accomplished 2 things by doing that. Number one, all right, he exposed A&M and had people looking at them and taking all the attention off of his team, all right, and what they're doing, okay? And number 2, when you don't put your energy and focus into the things that are most important in what you're trying to achieve and accomplish, and you're playing defense, okay, then you're going to have a loss of productivity on the other side. Petrino, my point to all this is, he's not going to be loyal to Jimbo or to A&M, Okay,
he's loyal to him.
He's going to be loyal to the process of what he's trying to do and accomplish, just like the boy that left Tennessee, was at USC to get Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
All right? I mean, these people are highly functioning people that they got a job to do.
Does it bother you?
It doesn't bother me. All right? It doesn't bother me. But what you have to understand is what you're dealing with. When you deal with people like that, you have to make sure that you're providing every resource that they say that they need to have. I'm not talking about money necessarily. I'm talking about resources, okay, of what they got to do the job that they got, that they are focused on doing. This is why they're successful in what they are and the best at what they do. And you can't marginalize that by saying, well, yeah, but you should be dedicated. You should be – listen, that's why they're successful. While you're worried about what should be happening, they're getting it done. And they're not going to stay if they don't have what they need.
Yeah, but here's a guy
I'm not
that –
saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that's what it is.
in less than 3 weeks, he left the job he had just accepted.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I'm
I know.
saying for him –
I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to do what's best for him, but I would have trouble believing that Bobby Petrino has the job that I've put him in as his first priority until the next job he thinks better comes along.
How about this? 20 years ago, I'm meeting with Mark. God, what's Mark's last name? He coached up at Watauga in Ashe County forever. Mark Payne. Meet with Mark. I'm like 30 years old. And he says, okay, I'll go up and talk about being a baseball coach and, assistant head football or, offense court, whatever, at Ashe County. And so he offered me the job. I called him back the next day. I take it. 30 minutes later, UNC Asheville calls me and says, we got a job open. We're not interviewing you for it. We're offering it right now. And we got to fill it. It's late in the summer. I said, I'll be there tomorrow. Call Mark Payne back 30 minutes. I said, Mark, I'm sorry, but I got to do this. I know I told you I was coming, but I have to do this. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sorry. But I have to do that.
Right.
It wasn't that Ashe County was never going to survive if I didn't go there and coach. They've done just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's certain things in life sometimes that come up. I wanted to honor my commitment to that because I want to do the right thing for right reasons. But at the same time, you can't turn down an opportunity to go coach Division I baseball.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it.
You see what I'm saying? Just like UNLV.
But the difference.
Let's go to gamble all the time.
But the difference is, I guess,
College Station
is, and I know that I should not do this. Okay, I know that I should not do this.
I know what's coming. Go ahead.
I look at his past and his track record.
You have to.
And I guess from where I'm coming from, I'm not faulting Petrino as much for doing this. I'm questioning Jimbo's.
I know where you're going.
Jimbo's.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Jimbo's decision making.
Look,
yeah, and I think Jimbo's drawing at straws, trying to save his job.
What just happened to Carolina?
I know.
Oh, we're going after Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I know. I'm just.
But it's gone, and now they're playing better, and they got to do. I don't know, man.
Well, like I say, it's more
quality and value. Quality and value.
It's more than it's
style.
It's more of I'm questioning Jimbo more than I'm questioning Petrino because somebody waves an opportunity at you, and you feel like it's a better opportunity, you're going to take it. I guess I'm looking at Jimbo thinking, Jimbo, are you not concerned that he could come in there and just take your job? I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. But
this is it, too. Think about when Saban hired Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
People lost their minds. A lot of pundits were like, why are you doing it? He said, listen, Lane Kiffin is the best available offensive coordinator.
Right.
And that I interviewed, and he is the guy that I want running our offense. He is the best available at what he does. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, but aren't you worried about that? He said, I'm not worried about that. I'm the head coach. I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of things that I need him to do. He's going to do those things. If he doesn't, then we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was very clear.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying,
I get it, yeah.
I knew you were going that way, and you were right for doing it because it's on who makes the hire, not who's coming in.
Somebody waves a check at me. What are you talking about? I'm a hoe. I just ain't a cheap hoe.
Oh, God.
Milton said Arizona Cardinals might have a house cleaning Sunday night, Monday morning. They won't be the only one. That is Black Monday.
Milton's right.
Milton's Monday after this week.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Richie said, I don't know why anyone wants to be the OC for Jimbo. The offense is Jimbo's, and he calls the play. Well, he's stepping away from that's what they're saying.
Well, I think, too, he's looking more at who said that? Was it Richie or
Richie?
Mill? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Richie, I think, that's a really good point. And I think what Jimbo, there's 3 phases in business, right? You start with the I, then you go with we, and then you go to they, and the progression of business. It's the same thing in coaching as the years go on, if you want to continue to accelerate and not just stay the same and then do what you've always done. And so it's an I, we, they type mentality, and I'm hopeful that he is now getting to the we thing that will allow him to address the matters most important to the program instead of worrying about what play to call.
It's hard for and Jimbo's one Jimbo's one of the last dinosaurs where the head coach still is involved on play-to-play decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most head coaches don't do that anymore.
I know you pick on Coach Sweeney a lot, Dabo, but does he call the – I knew you were going there. But does he call them or are they communicating? And is he trying to groom Streeter? Not getting off subject. I mean, this is like, is where is that, in their
Well, now, I'd have to verify this through Andrew to make sure, okay? To my knowledge, Dabo's never been a coordinator of anything. He went from an assistant to a head coach.
Except the program.
Yeah.
To your point.
But, you know what I'm saying? He's never designed and run.
Right. Okay.
That's not something he's ever done. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Okay.
Because a lot of people question that, and I questioned it from the very beginning, okay, because the critical thing he was going to have to do, and it took him to where most coaches come in and they can write things in about 2 years. It took him almost 5 because he didn't make the right decisions on those key hirings of coordinators.
Early on?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that's – I see that, but the way things have played out long term, it seems like that, even though it didn't happen as quick as we wanted, it sure has been a steady.
Yes. Now, once he got there, and I'll say that about any head coach.
I got you.
Any head coach has got to put the right people in the right places to make it work.
Yeah. It's chess.
And the same thing. And the same thing, that's where I questioned Dabo this year on the promotions that he made. When you're taking a big-time top 5 national program and you didn't go get the best available offensive and defense coordinator to take the place of 2 coordinators that went to big-time jobs off of your staff. So how do you go back inside the family and hire people and groom them to bring them up? You don't have that kind of time to develop when you're supposedly in a national championship conversation every year.
So it's a portal thing with coaches too, basically.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Milton, you're right. Josh McDaniels did the same thing. He took the job with the Colts.
It was interesting. There was a lot of stuff that came away from that. Like it understood that he was going to be the next head coach at New England, and people were insinuating that, but it was never verified.
The underlying was he would be the coach, like Jimbo was.
Yeah, sure.
When Jimbo got hired at Florida State, he was the coach in waiting at Texas, was he not?
Coach in waiting at
Texas. No.
No, that was Will Muschamp when he took the job in South Carolina. He was the coach in waiting at Texas, right? And then he left, and then a year or two later, Mac Brown got fired.
Richie said a lesser
Jimbo was at Florida State. Remember
where did he come from?
It wasn't Florida State. Oh, he worked with was
it LSU?
Yes, with Saban.
Okay.
He and Saban were together. Boy, I tell you what, that was a good staff.
Yeah, okay. Richie said it happened to a lesser position coach, too. Said Carolina hired an offensive line coach. He was presented as new offensive line coach. 2 days later, he was offered and accepted the offensive line and run game coordinator at Houston.
Yeah.
He also said A&M had Jimbo. They have Durkin at defense coordinator who was fired at Maryland accused of player abuse, and Al Petrino. That's a reputable staff right there. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, And Richie is correct. Okay, Andrew's not listening this morning. Dabo was wide receiver coach, which I did know.
Yeah, yeah.
And he got promoted to the interim head coach,
right,
and then got the interim tag taken off. But he's never been a coordinator.
I don't think that's a prerequisite to being a head coach, because it really has nothing to do with being a head coach. Being a coordinator doesn't. And the reason I say that, the head coaching things are kind of skewed right now, right? And I think our greatest examples of this, are seeing guys like Kingsbury, right? Seeing a lot of these offensive gurus that are not so guru-ish, Matt Rule. The intangibles of being a head coach are the ability to lead, the ability to listen, reflect, have good communication skills, be entertaining.
Have I told you my what I feel like is my top requirement to be a head coach? Okay. Well, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll tell you when I come back. That's called a tease, in case y'all are keeping up with that.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Now we're back, and I'll tell you what I need to tell you. My requirements for head coaches and where head coaches are from a college standpoint. Okay,
Please continue.
And I'll tell you why Dabo got the job. Okay, and Dabo got the job because at the time he was hired, he was in the top 5 recruiters in Division I college football in the nation. Okay. The head coach, to me, has to be the face and your recruiter. He has to be able to recruit.
Got you.
That's what he has to do.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And then his second thing is, and this is where Dabo slipped a little bit, and I think he slipped again, you have to be able to step back and put the proper people in the proper places because you can't do it all. You know, you've said this. It's hard for a head coach to be able to call plays on either side of the ball because you can't concentrate and oversee and help.
No, you're going off emotion instead
Correct.
of process.
Correct.
And I see that in high school football, things can be a little different because you're limited to the number of coaches that you can have on a staff. It's very interesting. Like
a head coach can put in a game plan,
right,
but not down to the play calls.
The problem with all this is there's no focus on the process. It's only based off of emotion, like I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so in high school, you see a lot of head coaches that are coordinators, which is understandable because, it's on a smaller scale. The problem with college head coaches being coordinators, and I'm not talking about the special ones, I'm talking about just in general, okay, is that, you really can't be the master of both.
Correct.
And so what happens is no matter how innovative you think your mind is or how no one can do it better than you, I'm going to give you 2 things. Number 1, that is not true. And number 2, that is not true. You're not as innovative as you think you are. And yes, there are people that can do it better than you. And, it's about, when you're in charge of something, it's about overseeing the process, finding out what the goals, what's most important, and then implementation of those, and holding everyone to the highest standard. And those are substantive-based things that produce results. When you just hire people because they're a good coach and not because they're adhering to a process and what they do, then that's style-based. And that's the issues that I'm looking at Texas A&M.
Right. Bruce Eicher, good morning. This sums it up, and nicely said, Bruce. Head coach needs to be a leader of men, women, people with the ability to motivate and delegate to achieve a common goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you can say about a CEO. Yeah. You can say about anybody that leads anything like that.
I mean, it's, you got to be, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to, you have to show empathy, and you have to be able to listen, and you have to be able to say the 2 letters that no one ever wants to hear, and that is no.
That's important.
Yeah,
because you have to make those hard decisions.
You have to say no to things that don't enhance or improve the overall process or outlook of what you're trying to do.
Yep.
Everything else is a drag on it. It's like debt. There's good kinds of debt, all right, and then there's really bad kinds.
Mm-hmm.
The good kind of debt is debt that you can get a return on that is greater than the debt being carried. Bad debt is you're not getting much return on, it's just dragging you the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It's one of those things that it'll be interesting to see. I think Jimbo's reaching at straws is where I think.
He's got to do something.
Yeah.
He's got to do something.
And here again,
or feels like he does.
you know, I'm going to go I'm waiting, and maybe I'm waiting for the wrong thing because I haven't talked to Andrew this morning. I'm waiting for changes to be made at Clemson because there's some problems there that have to be addressed if you're going to get back to where you want to get to.
Yeah, I saw some, after having time, of course, we were all over there watching it, and Tennessee was playing great, and I don't think anybody thought their quarterback was going to be as explosive or dynamic as he was, and I give that kid a lot of credit.
Usually your backup is not, but he
Right.
did.
In this case, it's kind of like Milrose coming in for Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, whoa, okay, this is good. Now, did he show that in South Carolina? No, but he's had a month.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, when I look at it, I don't know if it was so much of what Tennessee was doing and not taking anything away from them as it was to – is it already an hour?
Yeah. Sorry, Juju. That's what Juju always says. Where did it go?
I just think it's more about Clemson addressing some matters that –
I was disappointed. In the lack of changes that occurred at halftime. That comment was made when we were watching the game. Dabo's usually pretty good about making those changes.
Making game adjustments pretty good. Yeah,
but I didn't see that because it got uglier in the second half than it was in the first half.
I'm not so sure that quarterback wise that it was all to blame. I say to blame, maybe on the lack of ability to complete things, not necessarily passes, but individual plays, as much as it was the pieces. Like the chessboard just doesn't feel right, when I'm looking at Clemson's, offense and defense right now. Now, is it different than it was a year ago? Yes, because there's different people running it. But those pieces have to be coordinated, Lanny, in order to attack. You have to play attack-style football on both sides and with special teams. You cannot play catch, bend, but don't break all the time. I'm not so sure that – and there's a lot of emotional things that went on at Clemson this year. Was it Breezy was his name?
Mm-hmm.
The boy that –
Breezy
that had the sister that passed away. And there's a lot of things that were going on there.
Plus, he was injury-riddled.
Right.
And he's opting out for the draft.
Right. And they had some 5th or 6th year kids that, that had been there a long time. And even though they gave everybody an extra year, I don't know if that is – if when they look back on that, if that's going to be the most beneficial thing for a program. When you have a process set in place for 4 to 5 years and you add a year, kind of spins things out a little bit because the opportunity is now not being sought.
Mm-hmm.
It's being sought but not being delivered to the ones that are coming in, receiving open kickoff because all the focus was on the ones that were crossing the goal line.
Right.
Don't know. It's kind of like church. And depending on the age of a church and how things are, and just personal experience, whether it be where I live now or where I've grown up, if the focus is only on the people that are on the 20 and getting ready to score, you know what I mean? And very little is put on the people that are receiving the opening kickoff, which are the ones being born and are very young. Your focus needs to be from, the 20 to 20.
And it's the same way. Here's the problem.
Same thing in
the
football.
problem here is, and it's one of those things that bothers me on the adaptation of change. The big saying in church is, churches that don't adapt and change die. Well, it's not just churches; it's everything. You have to adapt because the world is ever changing. Just like, just like what I'm saying with players, with portal, with NIL. You don't have to like it, but if you don't change, it will leave you. And that's the thing that I felt like hurt Clemson this year.
Well, when you say this is the way we've always done it, which is what we heard, then that's the first sign of imminent failure.
Richie's got it right here. This will sum it up. The big donors will make sure those changes get made, or there won't be big donors anymore. I like that. Have a great day.
That's awesome.
The boys will be here on Saturday. We'll see you again Monday night. Have a good one, folks. We got to go.